Hey there everybody, this is SXE Blues, and I am doing this as a video response to I Just Subscribed Now, who posted a couple funny videos. Funny in that what he was talking about, in the throes of youth and before you're really thinking about consequences. Funny, to do with, pranks that we played in our younger years and things like that. And so I kind of thought I'd get in on the action a little bit, since I did do a few things in life that, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm proud of, but I can still look back on and laugh and things of that sort, prank-wise, as it were. So, to preface this, I want to say that, I've been pretty tame in my life. I am kind of a laid-back individual. If pushed enough, the fangs will come out, so to speak. But for the most part, when it came to, pulling pranks on friends and family and things of that sort, I was pretty mild. But just to give you an idea of some of the more mild pranks that I did do, one would be I had bought a big life-size rubber snake, and to scare the hell out of my mother one day, I decided to put this snake in the bathtub when I knew she was going to take her nightly bath. And all I remember is being out in the living room, waiting, and then hearing the sudden shock scream, and I almost lost it, and I went running and hid in the garage because I was just dying of laughter, and I knew she'd know immediately who had done it. And at that age, I was always pushing the blame onto my sister, which is something she was more than happy to do, in my case, back at me whenever she would do something. If the leftovers of chicken cutlets that our mother made, which were delish, were missing in the morning, chances are it was going to be one or both of us who had been sneaking to the fridge and blaming the other in the morning when we got caught. So another thing that I did, and this is going more in line with the sibling rivalry pranks, my sister and I kept trying to one-up each other, playing little small pranks on each other, and one was putting salt in each other's milk, and that of course ticked me off because I actually love milk quite a bit. But then we also would put soap, like liquid soap, on each other's doorknobs, and if we were lucky enough to put it on the doorknob in a certain way, it wouldn't leave a telltale puddle under the doorknob on the floor, but if it did, then it was kind of pointless. And another thing that I did that I was very successful at was the old, and I actually had read about this rather, in a magazine, a funny prank you could do. I took some saran wrap and put it on the toilet bowl, like under the toilet seat. And if you can get a clear enough kind of saran wrap, and, somebody walks into the bathroom, they might not naturally glance down at the toilet, and the next thing they know, they're wearing whatever, ... So that I had done to my sister, and she was plenty PO'd when, that actually went successfully in my favor. But there are two biggies that I pulled, one of which I never got to see what the, aftermath was, or if there had, in fact, been an aftermath, because, well, I'll get to that, but the first biggie I want to mention is, it had to do with a school bus that every morning has to come by the house I lived in at the time, and I was in bad situations with school, so I was kind of rebellious in school, not so much at home because my parents were, accepting and a little more helpful than some people's parents are, so I felt a respect from them, but I definitely did lash out at school. And actually, before I get to the one that I want to reference as the first biggie, one example of lashing out at school was breaking into the coach's office and trashing the place when they had basically verbally attacked a friend of mine and I for not wanting to run the track, and equally putting safety pins in the seat of their golf cart, which, got some fanfare from fellow friends when they found out who was involved. But the big one involved this school bus coming by, and I was at the point where I was not in school. I was taking care of my mother who had been sick, and but I was still anything school related. This bus I knew would go to the school that I hated, that I had such the bad experience in, and so every morning I would come up with a way to do something that would be like, as the school bus went by. And keep in mind, I'm still in my teens, so it's not like I'm an adult doing this to children. I'm the same age practically as the people on the bus. So, but I would like put up a sign that said, F you, or one time I mooned the bus. But the end all be all time, and the time that usually gets me cracking up when I really get back mentally into how it all transpired, is I had a slingshot. And this was when, 7-Elevens and convenience stores still actually sold them. You could get a plastic one with a really strong rubber band. And I became really fond of using marbles. I would get a, dollar bag of marbles at the dollar store, something to that effect. And I could launch these things from my back porch over like 2 blocks away. And so one morning, just feeling particularly peeved about the whole school thing, and sick and tired of seeing this bus every morning, I decided to open my window a crack, because my bedroom was facing the front, the front street. And as this bus was coming, I was waiting. I knew about when it would get right in front of the house, and I launched a marble just as it came by. And I swear, as soon as I went to shut the window, I heard a scream, a loud yelp, come from inside this bus. Ow! I don't know who I hit or if I hit someone, but apparently a moving bus slingshot from a stationary window, and I apparently nailed somebody to the point where they screamed bloody murder. And now, I guess it's arguable whether this is a prank or not, but, playing a trick on someone, it's not really playing a trick on someone, but I think it does fall into the prank category, and I just was absolutely beside myself with laughter, and usually when I'm thinking about this, I just crack up, because just reliving that moment it went more perfect than I ever thought possible. Of course, in retrospect, I really hope I didn't hurt anybody. I had been shot from friends with BBs and BB guns, and one time to test out the thickness of a pair of denim jeans, I had actually had somebody slingshot a marble at my leg, and yeah, I had a pretty big welt, but it did go away after a while, and it didn't kill me. So I'm hoping I didn't kill anyone. Let me put it to you that way. And I definitely don't endorse that kind of behavior. I mean, this was, I'll say again, at a time when you don't know well enough the consequences of your actions, and though it may be funny to look back on because nobody was killed or hurt or maimed, it can definitely end with that result. And I don't want to act like I'm saying go out there and start shooting marbles at people, because there's no way I would endorse that at all. But the other biggie that I did, and this is somewhat worse, I guess, because again, it was during my rebellious against the man, the system, and school, and so my grandmother would bring me to the local video rental place, and this was still in the age-old time of VHS tapes. For all you younger viewers out there, you're probably wondering what a VHS tape is. Ask your parents. In any case, I've been a big Disney movie fan since I was a little kid, Aladdin being probably my top favorite. And so I went to rent a Disney movie. I don't remember what movie offhand, maybe Beauty and the Beast. And one night, while it was late night cable time, I decided to mess with the tape to include some what are commonly referred to these days as Skinamax flicks, and I made it look like the tape was somewhat erased. If you leave a VHS tape on a TV or near a TV for too long, sometimes it can end up erased, and sometimes whatever signals you're watching, whether it's through cable, satellite, rabbit ears, whatever, can transpose onto the tape as if you've recorded. And so I knew how to mimic this. by actually recording using static and things of that sort. And so yeah, I ended up putting some naughty stuff on a kids movie and brought it back to the place and never heard from the place again. And I hope I wasn't involved, or that incident wasn't involved in its eventual shutdown a year later. But as I say, you know, I was delighted with this prank at the time because I was completely and utterly just rebellious and miffed about every little thing that I had to deal with. A lot of it probably because I had lost my dad around that time. And so this was one of my ways of getting back at the system. You know, you're only allowed to borrow movies and you have to bring them back. I would sometimes keep the movies, even though I did have to eventually pay for them, which I lucked out. You know, I could have gone to jail, but the management, you know, let me make monetary recompense, so to speak. And but I never found out what happened with that. If somebody had actually rented it, you know, I assume would have been a pretty ticked off parent, you know, leaving their kid with their TV babysitter. He should be a better parent than that anyway. But these are just some of the things, and I'm kind of wondering if I should leave this video up for too long because I don't want this to come back to bite me in the ass at some point. But no, frankly, you know, like I say, I was definitely a juvenile and a rebellious one who eventually learned his lesson many times over. You know, even though the run of bad luck in my life continues, I still try to get through it, and you know, I'm not the way I was back then, where I would lash out at every little bad news that I had and do something and, you know, be a creep. But I look back at these incidents as being somewhat humorous for the time that they took place in, and you know, consequences or no consequences, at least they were not bad consequences, majorly bad, and I can look back at it and laugh. So that's what I wanted to add to this whole pranking discussion. And you know, nothing spectacular. Depending on your point of view, maybe it is. But that's all I pretty much have to say on the whole pranking issue for the moment, until I maybe remember something else I've done. But you know, as I say, I'm pretty laid back and learned my lesson many times over, and do not endorse at all any of these activities in the modern era or the modern era equivalent. So hope you enjoyed listening to my perspective and some of the wacky stuff I've done. And for now, this is SXE Blues signing off.